let's go ahead and before we dig into anything, I do want to share this. This is the fair use disclaimer for the podcast episode or for the show that we're going to do. So, this podcast may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We are making such material available in an effort to advance the understanding of the subject matter. We believe this constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided in Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act. If you are a copyright owner or agent and have concerns about the material used in this podcast, please contact me. I know it says us, but contact me. And I will have all my information in the contact description of the channel. All right. So the first thing I do want to say is my name is Kevin. I am the host of the Spirit Warrior podcast. These are my friends, JP and Courtney. And we are concerned citizens just about the things that we're seeing going on in the world, in the government, in the U.S., and that affects our lives directly. It affects nature, the animals, our souls, everything that we're experiencing that this pertains to. So we're seeing a lot of misinformation out there, and just a lot of information that is being shared recklessly, in the sense that you're just bored at work and you're scrolling, and then you just hit the share button without actually fact checking things, or because you agree with it, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So there are some people, and this is specifically in regards to I don't want to. This topic could be broad. We could go
True.
into a lot of categories with the government and how they're lying to you, and misinformation and disinformation and fact checking and censorship and all that. But today and right now, we're just gonna focus on the wildfires that are taking place in Wyoming, and which most people didn't even know about, because there was so much coverage on the Hurricane Helene and then Milton back to back, that there was no real coverage on anything else. So the wildfires in Wyoming are kind of reminiscent of, I I want to say, like Maui
Yeah.
situation, kind of where there's burning, and so a lot of like unknowns there. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff with the FEMA conversation and the topics that happened with that um, in North Carolina, in Asheville area specifically, regarding that's similar to the Maui burning, where they weren't letting people out of the area, which is very weird to not let them out of a burning area. But
That was
um,
crazy. The only people who survived Maui were the ones who like defied the government, ran to the water, or went out anyways.
yeah,
It seems like.
I saw some of those videos, and I feel like that wasn't even covered a lot either. So which is weird. But hey, here we are.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about at least the latest stuff, because this is just, um, I think I maybe I feel like some of the worst devastation. I mean, some of the video that you see is just, these areas are just decimated, and you know, people are able to make videos and get out to the public and talk about some of the things that are happening. And in a war zone, the way that you defeat your enemy is by cutting off their communications and their supply lines, right? Because then you leave them to their own devices. And then and I'm not a military strategist, but I feel like
Right.
that's common sense. You cut
Yeah.
off their communication so they cannot communicate for supply drops and with each other, and they don't know who's going where and who's where, and then you cut off their supply roads, right? And so these are tactics that have been used in Vietnam, as well as weather manipulation in Vietnam as well, right? So which reminds me of something else I actually wanted to pull up. I had uh, done a lot of links and fact checking and research, and we all have. And so Courtney's actually going to talk about some of the fire and the stuff that's going on in Wyoming. And we're again, a lot of this is, we're just trying to generate some interest in doing your own research, in being diligent and cognizant of what's happening in our world. So if we present information here that is not entirely factual, 100% dead, smoking gun, dead to rights, I encourage you to take the time and look into that and generate um, you know, an opinion for yourself, and consider the sources, and check if check around. Obviously, like one example that I want to talk about is the $750 loan from FEMA. So as we've all done research on this, and as far as I know, there's nothing that states that it is a loan. I don't have the application in front of me. I would like to pull up an application. If you can link an application, that would be great. Um, or a contract or notes or something. But, unless you're going through the application process, FEMA's not going to give that to you. So I wasn't able to find it off of my first 5 minutes of searching. But what I did find out is that FEMA does do loans in some instances where they're waiting for your insurance to kick back in. So, obviously we've had situations where the government just gives away money, and a lot of times it's to our enemies and to other foreign countries and whatnot. But this is likely an instance where they're just trying to give people money to get them started. Uh, Realistically, people's houses washed away and their cars are gone. They have no phone. They have the clothes on their back. They don't have a way to spend that money or to access the money. So that's kind of those are like the more dire cases. But they have to do something. They have to
Yeah, I mean they have nothing.
yeah. So um,
I don't even think they could had somewhere to spend $750. To be honest, but
Yeah.
right. I mean, because the stores are gone. And unfortunately, that's kind of the whole thing is a disaster. And the one thing that the reason why I'm actually doing this as well is, because, and this is for all of us, this goes for me, Courtney, and JP. We cannot physically go to the disaster area and provide aid and help out. The Cajun Navy has actually been phenomenal. They're still doing stuff. I just watched a live video they had 2 hours ago. They're still unloading stuff, donations. They're moving stuff around. They're not forgetting about their people. And that's what
Mhm.
happens in this world, is that we're so cyclical in the sense that we repeat patterns, we repeat news
hmm
cycles, like basically, we go through it's been 10, 12, 11, 12, 13 days since Hurricane Helene, and then we instantly jump to Hurricane Milton.
hmm
Obviously, I understand that you have to cover the next threat, the next disaster. You can't stay focused on the other one. But what's going to happen is that we're going to move on to another news cycle, and then people of Helene are going to get forgotten. There's still people that are being rescued in the hills of Asheville in North Carolina.
East Palestine, Ohio.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. They were forgotten, right? People aren't talking about that anymore. So, and it's not that I want to keep like drumming these things up, but I want people to not forget that this happened. The disaster was not cleaned up and people are back to their lives. Shops are built, houses are remanufactured. That's not the case. People are living in tents. People are, still again being rescued, or there's bodies everywhere. I mean, maybe they didn't survive. That's the worst case scenario. So, I do, obviously, like I said, Hurricane Milton passed a couple days ago. I talked to Courtney and JP last week and said, hey, let's shoot for the following weekend after Milton makes landfall. There's a lot of hype and a lot of tension right now. So, you never want to jump in and be like that on the ground reporter when everybody else, when nobody knows what's going on in the chaos, right? So now things have settled down from Helene. There's more stuff out there. We're able to pull up and research. We're able to show you guys. And, I do as much fact checking as I can. I think everybody else does as well. We all try to, I know JP for a fact tries to provide information out like every couple hours or something on my feed from him about, what's happening, and it's all great stuff. So I give props to JP. Courtney, I know you share so much great stuff too. I mean, we, so we're all in alliance with that. And, obviously we are passionate, we care. I am just to kind of get this out there, I am spiritual. I'm not religious in the sense of I don't go to church every day, but I do believe in a higher power. I do believe that the Bible actually has some things going on right now that are very telling. I'm going to pull something up about that. But again, I'm not one to like look at everything in the Bible and go, that's fact, that's fact, that's fact, right? There are some things that are relevant, some
Right.
things that obviously are not. Religion is not for everybody. It's not for me. I'm spiritual. I believe in nature, energy, all of us, right? Higher purpose, that kind of thing. And this is our purpose. This is our mission. This is what we're doing. We're educators. We're going to help spread the word about what's happening because we want to do something. We care about our fellow American, our fellow human being. We also don't want the government to trample on our rights and take advantage of us. And I think that's kind of why we're here today. So that's my intro. I'm gonna introduce Courtney at this point, and she's gonna take over to kind of talk about the wildfires. Go
Okay.
ahead, Court. Take it
Thanks.
away.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Just let everyone know I am on a hotspot. Good versus evil. My internet went out last night, and I live in an apartment building, so I have to wait until Monday to talk to the office. So I'm hotspotting. So sorry if my video is not great or if there's lag or anything like that. But I live in western South Dakota, so I'm not that far from the Wyoming fires. I'm a couple hours away, which for me is way too close for comfort. um, so I did want to share with you some of the things that I found. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Um, okay, so this green section right here, this is where the elk fires are. Now, these are the Bighorn Mountains. This map is from BLM, and this is showing who owns the land in Wyoming. Anything over here on the eastern side that is private land, that would be like your farmers, your ranchers, your everyday civilians. Anything in yellow is BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. So this is BLM land in yellow. The
Okay.
orange in the middle, that's tribal land. And then up here in the top left, the purple, that's Yellowstone. So you can see the eastern side of the state is private. And then the western side is either BLM, tribal, Yellowstone. The green is forest. The green is like forest mountains, forest area. So this section up here, this is the Bighorn Mountain Range. It borders Montana. But now if we look at this map, this website is fireweatheravalanche.org. So this will list all the wildfires that are going on currently. Anything that is a current wildfire is in red, and anything that is contained is in black. So right here, this big flame, this is the elk fire. So here's the mountain range that we were just looking at. So now that we know that the eastern side of the state is mostly private land and the western is not, isn't it interesting how the fires are on mostly the eastern side of the state? And also,
Wow.
isn't it interesting how the fire seems to know state borders? So I live about here. I live in western South Dakota. We do get wildfires here. And let me just say this. This is wildfire season, okay? This is the West. Sure. The West obviously is going to have wildfires. That is a normal occurrence. And they said that the elk fire started by lightning. Whether it did, whether it didn't, I really don't know, but that's just what they're saying. But I
Right.
just find
I
it to
heard
be
that too.
yeah,
Me too.
I just find it to be very strange that we don't have the wildfires that Wyoming has in South Dakota, in Nebraska. Wyoming got some, or I'm sorry, Montana got some, but it's just weird how like we're all right here. There's no fires, but it's all right here. Now, if anyone's from South Dakota, they're going to say, but Courtney, last week in the Black Hills, which would be about right in here, there was a small fire on Needles Highway. There was. But you know what? It was really small and they got it contained, and within a day it was put out, thankfully. So like I said, they do happen, they're natural, but just looking at this map, it really just makes you think a little bit. Looking at this map, private land is in the white, and looking over here, and the wildfires are all where the private land is.
It's very thought
And
provoking for sure.
It is. It
You
is.
remember the California and the Canadian fires? What was it, last year?
Yeah.
They were pretty bad. And
Yeah.
they swore it was climate change.
Well,
And
you know,
it wasn't long after that they arrested people for arson for starting those same fires and didn't talk about it much. And then you go back to Maui, and the government tried to say, well, it was from the power poles, the power lines. And then the power company said, well, wait just a minute. We didn't have the power on. And it's like, well, which is it?
yeah. So, and
Yeah.
that's exactly that's
But it could
so
still be lightning because it's a legit thing.
it
But
could.
it's like, what's up?
So Courtney, I'm gonna jump in here. Can I share my screen just for a second? Because I can't take over while you're sharing real quick. but
Yeah, let me unshare. Give me a sec.
And I throw it back to her because I'm interested in seeing what she.
I
was
will
gonna
for sure.
continue.
I found
I
something
interrupted her.
that this is gonna be really this is gonna be really good here. So this is something that Courtney. So she's just talking about. She's gonna talk about Dane here, but this is on Geoengineering Watch. I'll talk about this in a little bit, but this is right here. Wildfires as a weapon. U.S. military exposed. Is the military-industrial complex insane enough to incinerate Earth's last remaining forests to achieve a global controllers? Yes. So a formerly classified U.S. military document entitled "Forest Fire as a Military Weapon" is truly shocking expose of planned scorched earth destruction. The U.S. Forest Service actually participated in research and planning that went into this military and instruction manual for carrying out orchestrated forest fire catastrophe. Yeah, yeah. So this goes into, I mean, this is a great website to learn anything about what's going on. Here's obviously we have chemtrails, right? And I quote that because some people are going to say those are contrails, right? And my thing is, chemtrails do not make clouds. So I just wanted to bring that to, because as you're saying this, I want to back you up with your statement of, hey, here's wildfires. They're contained in the border here. And we have clear and present evidence from 2022
That is possible.
That is possible. Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So back to you, Courtney.
Okay. Let me reshare.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Okay. So for the elk fire, as of like this morning, it has burned over 84,000 acres.
Wow.
I can't even like wrap my mind around how big that is. And yesterday, when I was doing a little bit of research, I saw that about 32% of it was contained. I don't know if that's a true number because sometimes you got to check
Right.
your sources, but
Right.
we could just say some of it's contained, but most of it is not. We can leave it at that. I think we can all agree with that. The poor firefighters. I mean, they're doing everything they can. They got a real uphill battle that they're fighting right now. So it's a very large fire. And as I was doing my research, I found that in that area, the Blackhorn Mountains, now this is according to the website is wyomingpublicmedia.org. Massive rare earth discoveries could mean new mining rush in the Mountain West. So basically what this article is saying is that the Bighorn Mountains have, it's called REE, rare earth minerals. And it has been discovered here. And now everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon of mining it. There is the Halleck Creek Project, which has 8,000 acres. It's on a mix of private, federal, and state land. So they are, they bought this land and they're going to start mining on it. But there are 17 little known elements. I'm going to try to pronounce these. Hopefully I don't butcher it. Neodymium, Presate, I don't know. You guys can read them.
I've never even heard of those.
Yeah, I haven't.
I never either.
Scandium.
I never either.
Neodymium. Praesodium. Yeah, I can't even say that one.
Yeah, what I would do on my iPhone, which I'm not on it, is highlight it and hit speak. And I'll speak it. But I've never even heard of those. And if you think like, well, what's mainly mine? Well, like coal and gold, right? But then you think cobalt and lithium. Well, what's that for? Well, that's for electric stuff. What's electric stuff for? Everything else that they're trying to control.
Yep.
I always try to ask myself, is there a mean motive and opportunity for them? And usually it always falls back when you go to zoom out on all of this. Yes, there is. Why? Because the 2030 agenda.
Yeah, that is such a big topic that I would love to cover. I mean,
Maybe
I could talk
time.
about the 2030 agenda.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another episode on that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it says that these rare earth minerals are for specialty glass products, steel making, batteries, various electric components that are critical for many defense technologies. Isn't that interesting? Yep.
Military industrial complex, right?
There you go. And then down here it says rare earth elements are actually commonly found in Earth's crust, just not usually at economical depths and concentrations. This discovery in Wyoming is unusual because the elements are consistently distributed, highly concentrated, and not radioactive. So, in a nutshell, they made this discovery that these REEs, these rare earth minerals, are abundant in these mountains, and they're like the gem, like just like it says here. They're highly concentrated. They're not radioactive. I mean, this is just where it's like they're being served on a silver platter, so to speak.
Right.
So, yeah. Now I did hear that BlackRock and Vanguard was trying to pull permits so that they could get in on this mining. However, I could not find direct source evidence of that. Like, I was just like on the internet just hearing hearsay, but I didn't find exactly like the link. But I do know that Vanguard and BlackRock have many little companies under them, and they will use those little companies to do this dirty work. And I just don't know all the names of those companies and all that. So I'm not saying that BlackRock and Vanguard are not involved, but I can't prove that they are at this point.
Right.
And it makes you wonder if these minerals have been here all this time. Why are they just now finding them in the way they're finding them?
Exactly. So then from here, we are going to shift from the rare earth minerals to lithium. We're going to kind of go out of Wyoming and we're going to go back into the Appalachian Mountain Range. So this website is foreignpolicy.com. So it's a very credible source. Washington wants a white gold rush. And basically, this website is saying that the Biden administration is all on board for us mining lithium domestically so that we are not dependent on China. And what I highlighted right here, one of U.S. President Joe Biden's biggest efforts to jumpstart the sector can be found in the Inflation Reduction Act, his flagship climate bill that aims to boost the domestic critical mineral supply through hefty tax credits. So this, that Inflation Reduction Act, that gave our country the green light to, hey, let's start, lithium mining or whatever kind of mining that we need so that we can be domestically independent.
Isn't that the act Biden said
I was
we
just
should
gonna
have
say,
really named it what it really was?
We should have really called it what it really was. Yeah. I was just gonna say
Yes.
Yeah. So we're
Love how they just sneak stuff in.
And it's like America can't really build electric vehicles without China at this point. So they're going to need these mining to mine
push
what they're looking to mine.
Yeah.
And they're on this huge push for this electric car EV thing, which cool, but they're wanting to force it.
The problem with the whole thing is like
our power grid can't handle it.
Exactly.
We don't have the tech for it yet.
Exactly. If you want to drive an EV, fine, all good on you.
Go
right?
for it.
Exactly. I have no problem. It's your choice. But our power grid cannot handle it. Like, you have people in California who are shutting off their air conditioners because in the middle of summer because they're overloading the power grid and they're suffering brownouts. For people who don't know what brownouts are, they're like power outages that are spotty. Not all of your power goes out, but like a part of it.
Rolling blackouts.
Yeah, like a blackout is completely like there's no power. A brownout is like part of your building might be out, but the other part might still have power. It's kind of like you don't have enough power to power the whole thing. that's a brownout. So
And California wants to push like everybody drive electric cars. So
right.
They're like, well, hang on, don't charge those cars.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
it's ridiculous. So
Yeah. Yeah. So then I have this is a map. Well, this is okay. The source is solarreviews.com, lithium mines in the United States where mining stands today. So here is a map where you can see all the countries that have lithium. Australia has the most, and in second place is Chile in South America.
Chile.
And then we got China, Brazil, and then us. So,
so
and
Portugal and
Zimbabwe.
America is the same. It's
Yeah.
okay. That's where my family
Yeah.
comes from. Well, I mean America too, but Portugal specifically.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so you can see like our country is not the top producer, but we certainly, have it that we can mine it and use it ourselves. And this article right here, did you guys know that there are 2 mines in Nevada mining lithium? Did you guys know that this is actually going on right now in Nevada?
I actually
don't
had no
think
idea.
so.
No.
No, I had no
Yeah.
idea.
I didn't know either, but there's 2 active mines in Nevada. And then it goes to say, however, lithium is all over the country, including states like North Carolina and California.
Oh, not North
Interesting, right?
Carolina.
Oh my
North
God.
Carolina. Is that where a hurricane just traveled 800 miles on land?
Yeah, I
I
wonder
think it was.
where in North Carolina was it under a giant hurricane that flooded an entire
Same thing.
county zone area?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Just, we're all just trying to connect the dots here, guys.
Things that make you go,
Yep.
Well, I'll be.
Right.
Yeah. So this website is NPR. Hey, you can't
Wow.
say that I'm not.
No, you're definitely getting your sources from like everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I like how they tell all themselves. Like, they dry snitch and then they try to go back and like remove it.
Yeah.
Right. Like they scrub it. Well, and the great thing is if you go to like archive.org, it's a website that actually catalogs and archives versions of like it takes
a Wayback Machine.
Wayback Machine,
Yeah.
exactly. And so you can find stuff that was like erased and deleted as proof of like, hey, you actually did post this. This wasn't real.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what this article is saying is that the residents of North Carolina are obviously very concerned and they don't want, lithium mining to happen. Now from my research, it's not happening in Asheville, right? I'm seeing that if you guys look at a map, where Charlotte is, it's west of Charlotte. So it's not right in Asheville, but let's face it, it's in that area, right? It's close enough to where that hurricane hit. And so we got this right here says Piedmont's plans calling for 4 open pit mines 500 feet deep. That means demolishing houses, digging up farmlands and woods, and disrupting streams. Some neighbors have sold their land to the company, but others who properties borders the site aren't happy. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, we all know what like the mining can do, and I think everyone probably has seen the pictures of the lithium mines, like in China. It's just this big barren hole in the ground. I mean, it looks horrible. Yeah, and it will destroy all the all the land around it and contaminate everything. And then right here, this says. He's talking there. So there were old lithium mines that closed in the 1980s and 1990s, and now they're contaminated with arsenic, which naturally occurs in the soil and the rocks. So the old mines, like they have arsenic in them now. How is that healthy for the environment, for everybody? It's terrible. And these residents, they do not want this there.
So I want to share something. If I can just share something real quick. I found something that pertains to this mine here.
Yeah, I just did too. I wonder if it's the same thing.
I wonder if it is. I feel like we're on the same. So this is from a radio station, I think. Charlotte's
last December, okay.
2023. Work to begin in early 2024 to reopen Kings Mountain lithium mine. So it talks about North Carolina's revival of a major source of lithium will take a step forward early next year. Albemarle Corp, which I'm going to do some research on this. This is probably a subsidiary of BlackRock.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Their headquarters is in Charlotte. Their revenue is 9.62 billion USD as of 2023. They're a specialty chemical manufacturing company based in Charlotte. So they expect to obtain permits and begin draining water in the next few months from the lake. I wonder if that's Lake Lure or whatever they're talking about.
I mean, we'll know for sure if none of these people get their homes back and they start mining.
Well, it's right, and it says the project still needs a state mining permit. I think it was there's a video that I saw, and again, I'm so inundated with all the information. I've shared it, I've tried to save it, I've tried to do what I can, but I remember seeing that on September 26th is when they got the permit to mine. And so they could be open as soon as late 2026. So this is something that's really interesting because you said this is just west of Charlotte, and this is Charlotte-based Albemarle. It's getting help from a $90 million grant from the U.S. Department of Defense.
So I just seen that Piedmont Lithium that you're talking about. Piedmont Lithium aims to be in production in North Carolina by 2026 and is building a processing plant in Tennessee with a $141.7 million federal grant.
It's proposed on a site in northern Gaston County near Cherryville. That's where like the hurricane destroyed.
The permit covers 1,548 acres with 964 acres bonded for disturbance. May of 2024. Wait. A company has received a key state mining permit from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Division and Energy, Mineral and Land Resources in May of 24. The acronym is DEMLR. So they got a permit of May of 24, Piedmont Lithium. It doesn't say where though. Oh, Gaston County.
Yeah, that's a
hard rock lithium mine in Gaston County, North Carolina.
Mineral and Land Resources Company. There's so many. Here's the problem. I don't say the problem because there's so many problems. We have so many agencies and government
it's overbloated.
Organizations that are like nobody knows who's controlling these and like where the money's going, the funneling.
The bureaucracy is too big.
It's too big. And the problem is like we let that get out of control. I don't want to say we as in like me, because I mean, for full disclosure, I'm 37 years old. So I voted for the first time in 2020. I didn't vote in 2016 because I wasn't politically savvy.
Right.
My father passed away in 2012. He was the political savvy guy. I would kind of poke his mind for politics, but I didn't really care about it. So
nobody did it.
I never, right.
That's why we're at where we're at. It's because nobody gave a damn.
Nobody cared about it.
And I still don't, but I do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're forcing us to care.
I'm the same way.
And that goes back to Trump. Or whoever is working with him or whoever. How was the veil lifted? Why is everything? I mean, America should have been paying attention to politics all along. Or because if you're not, you end up in a situation like this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My father used to always say, he used to always say, if you don't involve yourself with politics, politics will still involve you. And so, because everything.
And I hate politics. I hate it to this day. I used to always say, I don't give a damn who's president. It's not like the president's going to knock on my door and be like, hey, JP, we're here to change your life. Hey, today's a great day, ain't it? We're here to change your life. You know what I'm saying? It's up to me. It's up to me to feed my kids. It's up to me to pay my bills. It's up to me to live out my goals and dreams. It doesn't matter who the president is, but it really does matter. And we learned that since 2016, especially 2020.
I know. I mean, Elon Musk has actually said recently that if Trump is not elected and I'm not trying to make this partisan. I think you can tell just by the podcast and by all of our attitudes, who we're all voting for. But and then that doesn't. It kind of says itself. But if Trump is not elected, that is the end of democracy. We're in trouble. There are and Courtney, not to jump in and change subjects, because I do want to get back to your because I know you got a whole thing that you still want to go through. But as this kind of come to mind, Elon had indicated that a lot of illegals are being moved into states,
red
states,
red areas,
swing states, so that there's no longer swing states. And this actually makes sense because over the last 3 years, 60,000 Haitian migrants have been moved to Springfield. Now I get, oh my God, Springfield, here we go, dogs and cats. Right. I get it. I understand. If that's what the attitude you want to take when you hear Springfield, I get it.
Totally.
But I live in Ohio. Okay. When the Venezuelan gangs were taking over apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, which is still happening, by the way, this is not something that there was a news cycle and then all of a sudden it's like disappeared. This is still happening. When the Colombian or Venezuelan gangs took over apartment buildings and threatened, there's CCTV footage of this happening.
Right.
And the sheriffs, the FBI, the marshals, nobody wants to do anything about it. I don't know if it's a jurisdiction issue or if they don't have enough evidence or what, but I'm also not deeply like researching that right now. But when nobody does anything about that and it's not affecting your area, you kind of like look at it like you just like glance at your newspaper and go,
right.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
then you kind of move on with your day. When it starts moving into your state, you start paying attention. When it moves into a city next to you, you really open your eyes because next thing you know, it's going to bleed into your city and then it's going to involve you. And then you're going to go, what the hell? And it was the literal frog in the pot. Right. The water was boiling and you were kind of watching it boil. You were like, we're good. I'm a lot, and then it got to the point where now you're cooked because it's in your city and you're dealing with it. And there are actually migrants here. And, I'm not against immigration because none of us are from here unless you're Native American, unless you're indigenous. Right. But even the indigenous people were not from America. They came over from like Russia, China, like, Alaska, because when there was a land bridge in Alaska, now we're going back into history of all that, but even from Canada and stuff, they came down. And so we're not going to cover history in this lesson today, but that's okay if we're the melting pot, as long as like it's legal and it's not a malicious intent to like fly migrants here and for your own political reasons. And then you're giving them taxpayer dollars. Like the people are
state.
Right. And so, and again, because we are trying to be factual, I will say that there's speculation that people are getting, that immigrants are getting $4,000, $3,500 on EBT cards. I have seen video of them.
I've seen the receipts of that one lady. Yeah. Showing the balance. It was insane. It was like 20 grand cash.
Right.
And then the EBT was like 8. I'm just saying, like, one side of my family comes from a Cherokee Indians. The other side I directly come from immigration. I know we all may at some point down our line, but I come directly from, my grandfather was not born in this country. Shut the damn border. There's a reason why you don't let just anybody into your house. You want to vet them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's the reason you don't leave your doors unlocked, your doors open, your windows open at night. I mean, I do because I'm in an apartment building, but I'm 3rd floor up. So if you're going to break in, you got another thing coming. But that's the reason we don't. Right. And again, here's the other thing, the irony of that, I will say. You have a lot, and I'm not trying to get on my soapbox here, but you have politicians who are surrounded by armed guards and they want to take away your guns. Mm-hmm. Right. And we can claim like they want to take away your guns. And obviously people are going to go, they don't want to take away your guns. Really? I mean, because I feel like they're making more and more restrictions on it. They're like, let's restrict this. Then let's restrict this. Like if you, and the politicians have said, we're going to take away your AR-15. Hell yeah, we're going to ban your AR-15. Yeah. So if you guys sit here and say they're not going to take away your guns, what then do you not believe the politician that you're voting for then? Because they're the ones saying that.
Yeah.
Trump
It's
doesn't
like
get on
Trudeau.
TV and go,
Trudeau
"We're going to
said, I'm
ban
going
the
to take away
AR-15."
pistols.
Right. So
And then, or no, he said he's going to take away ARs. ARs only. We ain't touch nothing else. So what came next right away? Pistols.
Oh wow.
yeah. So it's just, and obviously Australia did the same thing too. They did it with one, and it's all about testing the waters, right? You
Yeah.
cannot just, and that's what this and this goes back to cloud seeding, geoengineering, weather modification, weaponizing the weather. You cannot just do something and like the people are okay with it. You have to socialize it with society, and they accept it. They normalize to them, right? So that's what they're doing, is they're normalizing. It's like drip feeding, and I don't want to get into another topic here, but they're drip feeding UFO and disclosure, right? Like it's during COVID, they're having the hearings about going through the whole, like, what was it? They were analyzing like 100 or 200 or something sightings
or something.
Yeah, something like that. And they were saying like they couldn't identify 97%, 3% they could, or whatever. So again, I could pull up the website if you want to see facts, but you can also do the research for yourself as well and see that. And that's why, like, we're talking about it, is to get you to go out and Google search it. I would actually not use Google. I would use a different search engine, because that's the other thing, is big tech will censor your searches, or they'll filter the results based on what they want, or whoever's paying them to do this. That was actually proven.
But it's like back to the gun thing. These corrupt judges know. I mean, not judges. The politicians, they know how the system works. Is they're going to get what they want for a little bit. Like recently, the New York judge ruled that constitutional carry that they tried banning was unconstitutional. Just recently, I seen that yesterday or the day before on X. They know they can ban it for a short time, but then it'll take a few years, and then a judge will step in and override it. But they're getting what they want for a short period
in the
of time.
meantime, because
And if there's not a brave enough judge to stand up, then what they've done will stick until a brave enough judge stands up.
Right. The justice system is so slow, so it'll take months and months for something. And in the meantime, you can't fight the government, because they have the power, the money, the attorneys. They've got the laws on their side. You, as a normal civilian, try to fight them, and you're screwed. I mean, because you're spending money, your time, you could lose your job, right? Because now you're fighting this situation. Yeah. So it's just crazy. Courtney, go ahead and jump back.
Yeah, let's jump back to
take
her.
over again.
I want to learn about that.
I really want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So I might have to hop off soon, because I got a text from my cell phone carrier that I'm 60% of my hotspot, and I just don't want to have like the video slow down and all that.
It is
so
already
I
starting
will
to get a
just
little
go
bit
with
choppy. Do you want me to go ahead, and if you want, you can turn off your video, so that way it saves that, and we can just
it'll use less data if you
share your screen. Yeah, share your screen, and then
okay.
That because the video upload is going to be the biggest. That's what I was concerned about.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna skip this one. But basically, Kevin can put the links for this video in the description, so if you guys can watch it. But basically, this is talking about that $90 million federal grant awarded to reopen the lithium mine in like west of Charlotte, North Carolina. So you guys can watch that with the links that he'll put in. But that's what this video is.
In YouTube, it's in the description already.
Yeah. And then this one is another one that you guys can watch. Plan North Carolina lithium mine faces environmental pushback. Basically, this lady was saying she moved to the area so that she could kind of like grow her own food, have everything be organic, and now that with the threat of this mine, all of that's going to go off the window, and she doesn't know what to do. She can't afford to move somewhere else. She's just in a real pickle. And it's just really sad, like how this is like ruining people's lives.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So I wanted to shift gears, and I wanted to talk to
show Clayton Morris.
Yeah, I love him, and so everything that I'm talking about, guys, you will have a link in the description of this, so you can go look. I highly recommend for everybody to go watch this video, the whole thing. It was really hard for me to just pick a couple like segments, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play a couple clips from it. This is just really interesting stuff. This is about how we can control the weather.
Yeah, him and his wife are pretty good at this.
Oh yeah, I was gonna use the same clip. Is there audio with this? Because I'm not hearing anything.
Seems like I hear it, but it's really low. Check your volume bar.
I think it's
Let me try it. Was that any better?
no, I'm hearing it from you. Can you reshare your screen?
Yeah.
And then make sure that you have the sound
Yeah, it
checked
seems
at
like
the
I
bottom.
heard it. It was just.
I think I heard it from her
low.
speakers is what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when you do
Yeah.
share screen, check the box at the bottom and make sure that you're sharing the audio as well.
Yeah, it's checked.
Okay.
Okay. But you know what, that's okay, because
Yeah.
I'll
I have the links in the description. I also have a similar video as well. So we'll play it. We'll get it up.
okay. But basically what this is saying is, let me turn on my volume.
Yeah, I do. I hear it, but it's like I hear it almost if it's coming through your speakers into your microphone.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
So he's saying these are electrically conductive particles, and you can see the hurricane is avoiding them. So if they're able to put in our atmosphere these particles, then they're able to kind of steer it where it needs to go.
Right.
So
it doesn't go where where the frequencies are.
Right, exactly. So I won't play the rest of this video. Like I said, you guys can just look at it yourself because you guys can't hear it. So yeah, so that one was that one. This is a really, really good interview with Dane Wigington. Highly recommend to check that out. There's another interview where I'm not going to play it because you guys won't be able to hear it. Look at the link, but Bill Gates, I don't know exactly the year. This is maybe, I'm going to say 20 years ago ish. He got a patent to control the weather, and there is a live. I don't know if you can, but there's going to be.
Play it and see.
So it's a live. What's that?
I was gonna say play it and see if we can hear the audio on that one.
Okay.
No, it's also choppy too. I think your dad is.
My dad is dying.
Yeah, your dad is dying.
Charge it up.
Okay. Yeah, but again, guys, you can just check this out in the links. But like, you can tell this is an old video, right? The quality isn't great, but here's Bill Gates meddling in things that he shouldn't be meddling in, and he was trying to control. The video says he's trying to reduce the severity of hurricanes, but sounds all well and good. But what else is he doing, right?
Right.
So
bro can't even keep a virus off a computer, and he wants to tell us how to keep a virus off a human. I ain't.
Exactly. So I'm just not gonna play any more videos. But I think you guys saw probably like a lot of videos on social media from people who were impacted by Helene, who had the worst of the worst. Like this lady, I mean, I think a lot of people saw her. She really went viral. She was basically saying that she was stuck. She could not get, like, her roads were washed out. Like she could not get to town, and FEMA told her they could not help her because they couldn't reach her, and that she had to come to them. And it's just like,
yeah,
what? But
I've seen something like that. Right. Like, how are they supposed to get there?
Exactly. So it's insane. And so now I kind of move into my FEMA, where obviously this is on their website. And Now they have a shelter and services program, and this is for the a lot of their money is going to the illegals. So if you look down here, what's it say here? Can't remember. Yeah, but this is where the money for the illegals is going. Now, this is different. This program is different than their disaster. I can't remember what the other program is, but like their disaster relief. But to me, that doesn't really matter. You know, FEMA is
No matter
for
what they name
our
federal
people.
emergency management, not international forward aid management.
Yeah, yeah. And so you can see, you know, compare last year from this year, you know, just how many millions of dollars are going for the illegals. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I don't
It's
remember
like all
what
these
this one was.
NGOs, non-government organizations. They're the ones who end up with all the government money.
Yes, yes, yes. This video, like I said, I can't play it. It was Mayorkas saying that FEMA was going to run out of money before the season was over, hurricane season was over. So that's what this video was.
Yeah.
And I think probably many people heard him say that. This is from FEMA's website where they are saying, you know, like the rumor response. And I was looking at the third one from the bottom where it says, you know, they distribute aid. The rumor was that they distribute aid based on demographic characteristics. Then it says FEMA provides assistance to survivors regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, blah, 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 right? Like they provide aid for everybody.
Of course they say that. And then they turn around and say, well, LGBTQ are the ones affected the most. And if you're black and everything but white, you're affected the most by these hurricanes and natural disasters.
Yes, yes. And that's what I had. I can't play it, but the links will be down below.
Oh,
this
funny.
is a Zoom call with FEMA, and they're basically saying that the LGBT community and you know anyone else who's you know not at the same equity level, they want to give them help first.
This guy that has
this
is
what happens when you have a bunch of incompetent people DEI hired into an administration. The shit we're seeing today.
Did you actually see that the lesbian captain of that
who sunk that warship or whatever?
Yeah, she was. She drove the ship on ground and sunk it. It's like, well, that's what happens when you do like DEI and you're like, well, you know, it's like, look, I got nothing against gay,
just hire qualified
homosexual
people. That's
right.
It.
It's all about qualifications, right? Like we should be in a meritocracy where like you get promoted based on like the merits of what you can do. Like it's just not going to go into that. Go ahead, Courtney. Please finish. I love this. This is I don't want to keep eating up your time.
No, it's fine. And then the last thing, it was FEMA related, where again, watch the video, the links. This administrator is saying that they want to focus on hiring like you know, black people or you know, just like the minority. They want to start focusing on that so that they could have diversity. Well, how about just hiring people who are fit for the job, no matter who they are?
If that's a 17-second clip, I mean, what I could do is I could actually, because I have all the links, I could actually just pull those up myself, and I'm trying to find.
I'll stop sharing. That's all I had.
So that I can share your. I've got the lithium here. Map. I think I'm missing some links.
Oh, I thought I sent them to you.
I'm missing those. You want to send those to me in the chat? Oh, wait, no. FEMA hiring diversity. This is one. That's a 2. FEMA ran out of money. Here's this one. So. No, we need to actually change because. Okay, so Can you send that one in the chat?
Yeah.
This website rumors. I'm looking at all the links that you're sending here. The last one.
Okay, you should get it now.
Got it. Female hiring diversity. Was that the 17-second clip, the one that you just had up?
Yeah.
This says it's 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
Oh. Well, let me look.
If it's 2 minutes, you can put it on 2x and cut it down in half, I guess. You can still understand it if it need be. Like, it's not too fast. At 2x, it's fast, though. But not too fast where you can't understand what they're saying.
Okay, try that.
Okay. Yep, that's the one. All right, so I do remember seeing this clip actually. Let me see here. Yes. Okay.
No, the more our workforce resembles the nation we serve, the better that we will serve it. We are adapting our recruiting efforts to reach individuals from underrepresented communities by partnering with organizations like historically Black colleges and universities and other minority-serving institutions.
So what essentially they're saying there is they're cherry picking for their positions that they want to hire for.
Yeah. Which is fine if they're qualified people, but you don't want to go see a doctor who learned on YouTube only.
Right. And it's kind of like when it came out that Biden had picked Kamala because she was a Black woman, and she's not even Black. She's Indian and Jamaican, which
according to Janet Jackson and a bunch of other people.
Right. And
Candace Owens. I got some recent stuff on that, which is crazy.
They
crazy.
They have some beef there. Let me put this other one up here and because this is the...
Well, thank you, Trace. Thoughts on top of the devastating impact from Helene and a port strike that is threatening to compound it all. And now a warning from the Homeland Security folks that FEMA doesn't have enough funds to deal with all of this. And we are on all of this. First to Georgia, where President Joe Biden is set to survey the damage and make some remarks this hour. Here. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto. Let's go first to Lucas Tomlinson in Georgia, what we're likely to hear as the president visits some of the hardest hit states and towns from Helene. What do you have, my friend?
Through the season.
Here's basically where he says this right here, just so that we're saving time.
Earlier today, President Biden arrived on Air Force One.
So FEMA does not have the funds. Another hurricane hitting, we do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
So that's Mayorkas, who is not head of FEMA. He's head of Homeland Security, and which oversees
FEMA and Secret Service.
Yeah, oversees FEMA and all that. So they do not have the funds to make it through the season. And why? Because of what Courtney said. They gave it to the illegals. I mean,
earlier today, President Biden arrived on Air Force One in Tallahassee, Florida, the state capital, where he was met by local officials, but not Governor Ron DeSantis, who was touring storm damage outside Sarasota. The death toll of Hurricane Helene is now over 200 and is now the second deadliest hurricane to strike the U.S. mainland in the last 55 years. And one day after touring the hard-hit areas of North Carolina, President Biden is touring the destruction in Florida. And, of course, here in Georgia, he has authorized 1,000 active duty service members to join the relief efforts nearby Moody Air Force Base.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. I don't watch much news. I hadn't seen that. That was interesting. I mean, I did see the clip on X, but
yeah,
what it makes you wonder is, I mean, obviously he's probably being truthful about running out of money, but is this kind of a ploy like, hey, y'all, we need more money?
Well,
and then, come more illegals. We need more illegals.
Yeah, you have to wonder if that's what it is or not. I mean,
right.
But so this is the
hurricane
link
directly into Tampa and the Sarasota area specifically. Like, that's the question that stands out to many of us. Many people are wondering why Tampa specifically, though. Let's talk about Bill Gates, the man who wants to control the weather and reshape the way that you live. I mean, down to you not eating meat. He wants to take down forests in order to cool the climate. He wants to
let's jump ahead.
Let's watch.
Here.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder, but now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Hurricanes gain strength from condensation driven by warm surface water, which leads to greater wind speeds. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes. The patent, which isn't expected to be approved for another 18 months, was submitted by C-REIT LLC, a sub-entity of an Intellectual Ventures and an invention acquisition and development firm.
How convenient.
Right.
What could go wrong?
Very interesting. Very interesting. This is also the one by running out of money. So, yeah. So again, just to kind of jump topics here, I'm going to share. So I'm going to share the window. We're going to see this here. That way I can just kind of jump tabs. So this is, can you guys hear this?
Yeah. No.
All right.
There's no
I
audio.
can't.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
No.
It started to play and then pause.
Oh, that's weird. I wonder. Anyway, so this is Dubai. Dubai got hit
I remember
with
this. The airport
Oh,
was flooded.
wow.
2 years worth of rain in 24 hours.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Right. So
Wait, how
they-
much rain?
2 years worth of rain in 24
Holy
hours.
smokes. Yeah,
Over a
didn't
half
they
a
admit
foot.
to the cloud seeding or something?
So the UAE denied that it was cloud seeding. However, the UAE has officially discontinued the use of the US dollar 10 months ago.
Yeah, I know the bricks are trying to drop off of the US dollar.
Right. So
Which is supposed to be coming.
UAE officially stopped the use of the US dollar, and then you essentially have this was in April 2024. So they basically got fucking downpoured on. They're like, "Oh, okay, you
Right.
want to stop using our the petrodollar, US dollar for
Right.
petrodollar? All right, fine. Then you know what? We're just going to flood you." And
Yeah.
this is what it looks like. And UAE is like this and Dubai is like this city that has grown so much.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's crazy. I mean, look at this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Nobody can look at this and be like, "Oh, that's normal."
That's
Sometimes
normal.
that happens.
Right. This
No.
is normal. That's normal right there. I mean, and speaking of patents right here, here's propagating sound through bodies of water to generate and direct wind for the purpose of moderating and affecting weather patterns. This was in 2019, and it's a patent design. You can see the images here for how to use sound to affect the weather patterns. Okay. And this is another one for a hurricane and tornado control device. So think about this. To file for a patent, you have to have some kind of proof that the patent is functioning, right? Because you can't just go, I want to patent an idea, but I have no idea how it works and it doesn't work. I've never tested it, right? So this was in 2001. So they're clearly, and I think some of this was like, so they're using like frequencies here and radar and things like that. And again, a lot of these things that we were talking about in the video, where they were sharing the green particles and stuff. And then this is another one. It's a method to influence the direction of travel of hurricanes. Probably the most important patent that you will see in this entire podcast as it relates to a 500-mile inward hurricane that doesn't normally happen. Because as I'm in Ohio, we got rain and effects from the hurricane, not like tropical storm, but we had wind and rain from it. So obviously going so far inland that like, how could you like, I have to ask, how can people ignore that these things are real, they're possible, they're happening? Okay. Consider that they're possible and then do some research and go, okay, there's a patent from 2012 for influencing the direction of travel of hurricanes. And this goes all down into all the claims of it, right? So I claim my method to influence direction of travel of hurricanes to sway them into a desired direction, as here and described in these specifications, for intersecting, thrusting, and deflecting the route of storms. So basically, you can control where the hurricane goes. It's a patent. Okay, like this is out here on Google. You could this is all the information. Hurricane Katrina, as it happened in 2005. Katrina's photograph shown in 2 of 10 shows a hurricane poised over the Bahamas, east of Florida, and northeast of Guantanamo. At this time, Vector 2, a powerful Atlantic Ocean wind current traveling in a southwestern direction, intercepts Vector 1. That was the steering wind carrying Hurricane Katrina into northwestern direction up to that point. So this paragraph right here, case 1, literally tells you they use Hurricane Katrina as demonstration of controlling the direction of hurricanes. It's right here in front of your fucking face. It's right here under your nose.
How else does a hurricane go 800 miles inland?
I mean, I can make the text bigger. It literally says this. This is case 1, Hurricane Katrina. Like, case 2, Hurricane Wilma in 2005.
Wait, Hurricane Katrina, wasn't that the one they went local cities and towns and demanded everybody give up their guns?
Collected firearms? Yes. That was when they declared martial law. They went door to door. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I remember watching the clips of it.
Case 3, Hurricane Irene, as it happened in 2011. Page 8 of 10 of these photographs shows Hurricane Irene carried by Vector 1. The steering wind that was carrying Hurricane Irene was traveling north of Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic with a northwestern direction. I need to clip this. I'm gonna mark that as a clip. So because this is clearly the evidence. This is the smoking gun. Like, we sit here and talk about, like, we may or may not have the evidence. We're just showing you stuff to think about. This is the evidence right here.
What's the case 3 right there say? You had
case 3, Hurricane Irene could have been swayed away in your page 10 of 10 shows an early point A where we could have applied our northwestern pushing, swaying vectors. So they could have been swayed away.
They could have?
They could have.
But they'd rather have the destruction instead?
Our vectors, Irene was one of the bad ones. Irma was a bad one. Katrina was a bad one. Helene obviously was a bad one. I'm curious. I mean, and obviously we have proof of this. Man, okay, so we've got, this is the patent right here. Like, if you want the proof, this is the patent. Our live research task is to find not only the kind of explosives that will push on winds without going through them, but to find the optimum amount of explosives that will reduce the total number of blasting. So there's this, and they have a plan of action here. The corresponding governmental offices of meteorology will provide us with the location data. So this is obviously done by the government. This is not, this is in conjunction with the government. Similar documents. There's air warfare and the missile age. So these are all different documents that are very similar. Oh, the truth of Jutland. So these are the patents. Okay. Let's see here. So this is, I'm going to play this video. You guys should be able to hear this. Let me know if you have issues.
No audio yet.
So you don't hear it?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay, let me reshare here.
That's weird. It was working just a little bit ago.
I know.
When we tested it.
Evil forces at work, I'm telling you.
Oh, you know why? It's because of the window. I'm gonna actually do it this way.
What if you blow the window up?
It's not that. It's because of the way I'm sharing it. I'm gonna do it this way. You'll have audio here.
To steer it seems to be with the
predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite. that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
There are many known ways to control the weather, and the best way to steer it seems to be with the NEXRAD Doppler Weather Radar Network.
The circular blue flashes seen in this video are frequency transmissions from the NEXRAD network of transmitter installations. The brighter the blue flash from a frequency transmission installation, the more pronounced and powerful the repelling effect on any air mass or storm in the vicinity will be. Where there are no blue flashes, there is no transmission, thus no repelling effect, thus no resistance for a...
I mean, you can see it right here. As like the blue and the green pop up, it's moving this way. And then they're going to, you know, I mean, there was nothing over here. And so it was moving, you know, I'm like pointing to the screen as if everybody can see it, but you know, like there was nothing over here and it started moving, and now it's popping up over here to keep it going up.
Translation: a migrating storm will be hindered from moving toward frequency transmissions and will easily migrate in a direction with no transmissions. So again, I ask, was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just an act of nature, or was it engineered?
Whatever happened during Hurricane Helene, our own government is actively victims of the flooding.
We're in Nashville.
This is Jonathan Howard. This guy has done so much. He was on Sean Ryan. This is him right here. So this is 32 talking about the photo op.
Just to take a photo op for Kamala, and they never sent the bird.
Wait a minute, what?
They loaded an entire C-17 full of supplies for the hurricane victims just for Kamala to go there, take a photo, take a video, and they never sent the C-17. It was just a full.
Serious?
Yeah, that was a National Guard, North Carolina National Guard unit. That was a 06 that reached out to me. And then I had another.
He reached out to you to tell you that they did a photo op and with the intention of never sending.
Never sent it. It was just a photo op. The day Joe Biden flew in to Asheville,
So
they had
for the record, so everybody knows, an 06 is a military, it's an Army colonel is what an 06 is. So that's a high ranking official. It's not the highest, obviously there's generals above that, but a colonel is generally privy to this information. This is not a corporal who is like pissed off. This is a colonel who's sharing this information.
to put up another temporary flight restriction over like the entire airspace there. There wasn't an exact time. It just kind of said from like, I think 11 to like 4 p.m. or something. And it wound up being, I think, from 11:30 to about 3:30 or something. But by him coming there, he actually never landed. He just flew around viewing. But because of that TFR, all rescues were shut down. We couldn't go do work. And that was the very first day we had like no fog, no clouds, no rain.
So again, just because they use acronyms heavy, a TFR is a temporary flight restriction, which means that you cannot fly drones, you cannot fly airplanes, helicopters in an area where there's a TFR. So, again, what he's talking about is Obama had flown around. I think he said Obama. It's the clip is Biden. Yeah, Biden or Kamala, whatever. They essentially, even Congress people were trying to fly around the area, and they were like, stop, you need to stop, because when you do that, we can't go rescue people. So this is, again, things that were happening that, shouldn't have happened.
And we were like, oh, we're going to go get all these rescues in. And this was still early in the week. I think it was Wednesday.
So this,
when people were still very, very desperate.
A day ago.
I ran to a senator from North Carolina the day before.
So you can watch that whole thing. This is another clip where they talk about what you can do. And this right here, this clip that I'm about to play is why I asked Courtney on here and why I asked JP on here, because all of us are passionate about everything that we're talking about. Because this is right here in front of us, and this has 476,000 views. So we're not the only ones that are doing this. We're not the only ones that are trying to get the information out. This is what you can do.
I know you guys are asking for heavy equipment. You brought up volunteers. What can the everyday person do who can't travel across the country to go work in a kitchen? They don't have the means to send an excavator or a steamroller out there. what can they do?
They can donate, or they can do their own supply drive. We had several folks
set them up,
putting together packages of care items and then having them flown into the area. You talked about FEMA earlier. That airplane almost got shut off flying into Asheville Airport. We had to go back to our buddy Devin at Hickory and get him to allow that aircraft to land and offload all those supplies yesterday.
Another big thing is spreading awareness. I know everyone's hearing all this misinformation. I get accused by people like, you're a liar, you're spreading false information, you're looking for your 15 minutes of fame, all this like nonsense stuff. But like I actually have the real videos showing this stuff.
Yeah.
And these other people online are just lying. They're reading articles. They're like, well, I read there's 6,000 military people there. And I'm like, where are they at? I'm here. I don't see them. So there's a lot of misinformation, but keep spreading it. I mean, like my own video got fact checked by a third party. And I'm
Are
like,
you serious?
Yeah, it really did. My own video got fact checked, and it's like, this is false information. I'm just like, that's my own video.
Holy shit, go figure.
So there's a lot of, they're really trying to suppress the story of what's really happening there. Actually, Jeremy, the founder of Aerial Recovery, he was meeting with the mayor, and they had CNN there at Lake Lure, and he was escorting CNN, the biggest fake news network there is, and they wouldn't even let CNN videotape the disaster areas. They would only let them film areas that weren't that bad.
Are you serious?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's how bad it is when they don't even allow CNN to actually film the real story.
So again, I know these all these videos. I'll link these in the description. I think I did. If not, I will. But you can find them. They're on the Sean Ryan Show on YouTube. That's obviously the one of the biggest things that we're looking at here is
the circular
weather
blue
manipulation
flashes seen in this video are frequency transmissions from the
NextRad
network of transmitter
right?
installations.
Because when you can flood an entire city like Dubai in the UAE and just make rain, like just put a cloud over them like it's a cartoon just pouring down rain on them, it's like, all right, fine, we'll just flood you out then.
I mean, even me, deep down, I don't want to believe any of this stuff. But when you start digging, you can't help to be like, man, I'm starting to convince myself. And you start hearing all these stories and you see the patents, and it's just crazy.
I know. This is what Rebuild Rescue was also working with. This is 100. They have 147,000 views from 2 days ago. This is what they were flying over in North Carolina. This is they flew a helicopter to Asheville to help, and it's worse than we thought. I actually have it on. I know somebody personally who is a helicopter pilot. I will not say his name. I know someone personally who is a helicopter pilot. He's also a fixed wing aircraft pilot as well. He has friends who are down there doing rescue missions, and he said it's the worst they've ever seen. And they're combat pilots. They have been in combat zones, and this is the worst they have seen. So we're talking like,
man, that's horrible. So I just got back home from being down in Asheville, North Carolina, helping all the folks down there running some rescue missions with a good friend of mine, Vincent. Him and his partner, Lyle, they have this R-44.
So these guys are all doing great things. I mean, they're flying, they're trying to communicate and get things going on. They talk to people, got information, sheriffs, they're loading up Starlinks here in which obviously is huge. Because there's no communication. So they're loading up Starlinks to go drop off to people and fire stations. One of the big things that they did was they were actually delivering Starlinks to fire stations who had no communications. And Elon was essentially giving people these, subscriptions and not having to pay for them. So I'm going to stop sharing, but so JP, if you got some stuff, I know you have some stuff that you want to share. So I want to get you in here.
Yeah,
I don't want to bogart everything.
Things. Let me see.
Just real quick, my speed is really slow. Am I messing up live video? Like when you're playing a video?
No.
Okay, good. That's fine.
No, you're good. Your webcam is off. You're nothing but audio is transmitting right now. So you're good.
Okay.
And that's the thing, when we look at all these videos, we see that good old hardcore masculinity that they talk so much shit about saving these people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I can get into HARP. HARP is
Can you see my
it's
X screen?
yeah, yep, we can see it.
Okay. So on the topic that Sean Ryan clip you was just showing, I don't want to play all of it because it's 10 minutes almost, but this guy says he was there personally. Let's see.
Days trying to figure out how to talk about this without getting
Let me
pissed.
try 2X real quick. So we can...
Our orders were rescinded. We're not going. We were replaced by the Michigan Army National Guard. With due respect to those guys, and I'm sure they're great and they're capable, somebody explain to me and make it make sense how it's beneficial to the taxpayer to bring a group down 1,000 miles from Michigan instead of using somebody else that's 3 hours away, maybe in their own backyard. The insult to injury was not just the fact that you spun up an entire battalion and then told them to stand down less than 24 hours later. No, the insult to injury was when, I'm telling y'all, I gotta watch it. Don't end up saying some shit. It's gonna get me in trouble. The insult to injury was that somebody's retarded ass PAO decided it was a great idea 4 hours after they rescinded orders to start posting on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, these posts, videos with this overwhelming music in the background, building this dramatic. Get the fuck out of here. You tried to make it look like one of our units was tip of the spear, answering the call, responding to the storm. Bitch, please. They were there on mission for less than 4 days. And the majority of that time was trying to get to the fight and get your equipment there so that it could be offloaded during a photo op that I'm still not certain how PAO just happened to get there right at the same time that one of the D5s was getting there to be unchained off the fucking trailer. It sat there. They were there for like maybe 3 days after that, and then they had to get pulled. And I'm also going to be very gracious to the individual that was featured, let's put it that way. And I'm going to assume it was not that individual's fault. And that
He's talking about Kamala right here.
they were not being a spotlight ranger, and that it's just by maybe misfortune or ill opportunity that the PAO somehow, some way, didn't get a single shot of any of the soldiers, only of this person, the same person that they interviewed and that they talked about the entire time. Because if I were to not believe that that was just a simple mishap, I might be fooled into thinking that we had the hero of Appalachia in our midst. But I'm not going to assume ill will. I'm not going to assume bad intentions. I'm going to blame the PAO for that. My question then is, why was it so important to look like you were doing something when you're really not fucking doing something? You know, one of the favorite radio hosts that sometimes I don't listen to his radio show. Sometimes he'll make some good posts on PragerU, Dennis Prager. He posed a question: does something do good or does something feel good? To what end did you have to make that post? To what end? Did it make you feel good? You posted it 4 hours after orders were rescinded, and then you posted it again on Instagram, and you put this dramatic fucking interview with all this fucking music in the background. Please, they're doing nothing. We Compo 3 are doing nothing because you will not allow us. You will not go to those in Congress and say, look, figure it the fuck out. Somebody still in Governor Cooper's office does not want to use Title 10, and I have no idea why. They would rather use Title 32 from 1,000 miles away than the motherfuckers 3 hours down the road, sitting on the right equipment, by the way, because the some bitches that came from Michigan, I'm sure they're damn good boys. They brought dump trucks en masse, and that's cool, but this was a haul mission. They're gonna need dozers and plenty of them. See, I told you, I gotta calm down a little bit. Bottom line, we have people, we have assets, and we can help, and we're closer. And somebody somewhere does not want Title 10 involved. They want to keep this purely a 32 mission. I've been educated recently by a colonel that there's some sort of a dispute.
Can you pause this for a sec? So I just want people to understand, because there's acronyms in here. So when people watch, I want them to feel like they understand what's happening. So PAO is a public affairs office or public affairs officer. Title 10 orders require federal level activation and are funded with federal dollars. Essentially, it's they require the activation of members of the National Guard. And then Title 32 orders allows the governor, with the approval of the president or the Secretary of Defense, to order a member to duty for operational homeland defense activities. So that's Title 32 versus Title 10, because I didn't actually even really know this when listening. And I feel like military people tend to like talk about these things and assuming
everybody knows. Yeah.
Know like what they are. Like, you know, even when Jonathan was talking about, you know, he rolled up on some PJs, which are, again, acronyms, parajumpers, pararescue, Air Force pararescue. They were waiting for Title 10 orders. So they couldn't actually go do anything. So it's like you have these people there, but they're waiting for orders to go do something. I thought going there was the order. I must be misunderstood. I must be stupid, apparently. So very interesting. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, and I seen a clip the other day, and it was a long clip, but I only watched a few seconds of it and like carried on with what I was doing. But I'm pretty sure it was Matt Gaetz saying that the governor was like doing it because he's making things political. But
so the North Carolina governor was not around anywhere for 3 days. He was missing, and the lieutenant governor had like no authority. I mean, he technically should have, but he's like, I don't know where the governor is. So he should have made decisions, but unless you know that like the governor is like, deceased or something, you
Right.
can't really make calls like that because you don't know what the governor is making calls for. So it's really hard to, I mean, I can understand like where they're coming from, but
right.
Political bullshit at the highest levels between Compost 2 and 3. In essence, we fight for the same recruits. We're recruiting for the same MOSs. We're sometimes fighting for the same funds, the same money. In this case, the same missions. And the thought has been brought up before that Compo 3 or Compo 2 should absorb Compo 3. Essentially, that the National Guard should absorb the Army Reserve. And I guess that's been brought up again and again. And that's like a consistent theme. So that's why they may not like each other. I don't know. I will tell you, that is a hard fight to explain relevancy when we don't have the capability to jump in and help. I mean, the National Guard's damn sure not perfect. Trust me, I know. And it sucks for a lot of reasons. I'll get into that in a minute. But it's really hard to fucking explain your relevancy as an organization when your claim to fame is that you just go to endless CTC rotations ad nauseum. Going to NTC, JRTC, CSTX, WarX, FPTM, doing that in an endless fucking loop, just one fucking stupid eval after another, only to, you're trying to evaluate your ability to be ready for mission. Only when a real world fucking mission comes up, we can't fucking go. Except the PAO is going to make it look like we were there. Oh, so it really doesn't matter whether or not we can actually do the job. We just got to look like we can do the job. Is that how it works? Gee, I should have already known that's how it works based on your fucking USRs. And don't misunderstand me. Being a National Guard soldier fucking sucks. Not only do these boys get activated for every single one of these, when you think about it, 15 other states that were not affected had to uproot their lives and jump in to go help somebody else out. That shit happens all the fucking time, almost every year. Then you mix in the fact that, at least this is the way it used to be, the National Guard does not get paid by DFAS on the 1st and the 15th. No, sir. No, ma'am. The National Guard gets paid a paper check whenever the state goddamn feels like it. If you get hurt, you don't get an LOD and TRICARE. Your ass gets to file a workers' comp claim on Blue Cross Blue Shield because you're a state employee. Up until 2 years before I left them to join the reserves, the Guard used to not even pay commensurate with rank. You got paid as a state employee, not based on what your rank was. They finally fixed that. It got so bad with soldiers having to go like 3 weeks without fucking checks that they had to come up with some sort of partnership program with the South Carolina National Guard Credit Union to hand out payday loans, 0% interest payday loans to get them by and to bridge the gap because they couldn't get paid fast enough. Then you throw in that these guys that are coming on orders, guess what? Guess what they have to do next year? They still got to do AT. Oh yeah, this ain't their AT. They still have to do AT. If they have drill days that fall within this period of activation, they have to make those up too. Being in the Guard sucks. But I can't imagine it sucks as bad as being part of an organization that will bloviate and pretend to be part of the solution when it's not, just to fill its own ego, meanwhile sending us to pretend like we're preparing for a fight that's not there and running away from the fight that is there because we can't educate our elected leaders on what it's going to take to get us involved. Once again, these are my thoughts only, and are not representative of any branch of the DoD or any branch of fucking anything.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
That it's crazy.
Yeah. It's disgusting. Yeah, everything you said was just disgusting. Oh,
I know. I mean, this is our government. This is where our tax dollars go. This is the people that we put into office.
And it goes back to hiring people who are not qualified for the job. You get a bunch of this.
I mean, it goes back to that. It goes back to the fact that they just don't have our best interests. They just look at us like we're stupid. Like, we don't know any better. It's power. It's power and manipulation is what it is.
Yeah. This was the one about the FEMA loan, but I couldn't find that application.
And even if it's just $1 or $750, if you, this is the veteran FEMA inspector. Yes. I have a dire warning to those that are going to take the money. There is a contract at the beginning when the inspector gets there, before he starts inspecting, there's a contract that the claimant has to sign. Practically illegible. The writing is so small. 12 years ago, I had to use a magnifying glass, and that's when my eyes were good. In that contract, if you do not pay the money back, it is a loan. What? A loan. And even if it's just $1 or $750, if you don't pay it back, they have the right to seize all of your property.
That's insane. The $750 that they're saying that they're going to give people, that's a loan. It's in the contract to receive it.
So I do, again, in accordance with the show, I do want to make this statement that obviously we all go into this with skepticism, playing devil's advocate, right? Like we're all trying to think like.
And I haven't found proof of this for sure.
Right, and that's what I was talking about earlier was this is a very interesting video. This FEMA inspector, we don't know his name, we don't have a contact information for him, we don't know who he is.
I can't find the form he's talking about.
Can't find the form. So I'm not advocating and saying that this is a lie, but what I'm saying is this is part of why you have to do your due diligence. This is why we talk about things and we do our deep research and we come across these articles, and these are the things we're talking about, right? So FEMA has no jurisdiction over land at all. They partner with people that do. They partner with like BLM, right? But they don't have any kind of jurisdiction to take land. To my knowledge, there's no. I mean, I can look that up right now while you're playing the video to see if FEMA can do that. But I'm sure it's buried in some document on the Library of Congress somewhere in some form or something. Which, yeah, I mean,
the only thing I could find that was kind of closely related that I came across was a local mayor there in North Carolina saying he helped his daughter fill out the form to get the $750.
Yeah.
And she was denied. But then they came back later and gave her like $300 is what he said. And then I watched another clip of another lady who was actually knowledgeable on filling out these applications. So she started to go out and like help people do it.
Yeah.
And she was saying most people were being denied, and the ones who were approved were the ones who were already getting like food stamps and some type of welfare.
All right. So I actually just found something right here. I need to see if I can find where it says that. Where did it say that? Under the Stafford Act. Okay. When can the government take private property during an emergency? Under the Stafford Act, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, is authorized to use eminent domain, which means they can just claim your property, to take both real and personal property on an emergency basis. This federal law gives FEMA extensive powers. This is why we research things, people, which can affect our citizens, but should not render the protections we are all afforded under our federal and state constitutions, such as the guarantee of just compensation for any taking which is undertaken for a public purpose. As the United States Supreme Court has made clear, the Fifth Amendment's guarantee that private property shall not be taken for a public use without just compensation was designed to bar government from forcing some people alone to bear public burdens, which in all fairness and justice should be borne by the public as a whole. That's Armstrong versus U.S. 364 U.S. 4049 1960. So according to this, and I'm going to look at this in more detail now, that they can take property, but there's examples of it are like Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N2520, which in part allows California state agencies to commandeer private property such as hotels, medical facilities, and other facilities that are needed for quarantining, isolating, or treating individuals. So I guess there's kind of like how do they use it or seize it or take it, I guess is the question. But this does go to show you, and again, this is why I said I've never seen FEMA that has permissions to do that I know of. And then I promptly said, I will research this. I did, and this is what I found. So again, I don't know everything. None of us here know everything. We come across things as we come across them, and we do our research. And again, that's why I emphasize that part of this whole podcast is we're not just spitting out things that we have seen as fact. We're saying these are things that you need to look into. These are things that you need to be aware of. Do your research on them. That's what we're saying in this podcast. If you take away anything, take that away.
I do know there's a place in Western Kentucky and Tennessee. It's called LBL, the Land Between the Lakes. It's a huge tourist attraction. Back in the 60s, it had flooded out at 170,000 acres. And I believe it was JFK who claimed eminent domain and took it all. And see, there was families and towns of people who lived here.
Right.
And he claimed eminent domain and kicked them all out, which a lot of good did come from it because they were able to build that dam and prevent flooding in other areas. And it created the Kentucky Lake. But also bad because he was trying to kick all those people out, whether they wanted to go or not. And that's just kind of an example of where the government came in, claimed eminent domain, kicked the people out. Yes, some good come from it, but a lot of bad came from it. And the government could have took care of those people much better than what they did. They still could have took control of the land, but at least took care of each family that they were willing to kick out, make sure that they were good to go financially. They had their home, they were able to move and literally be taken care of, and then carry on with what needs to be done.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna finish playing this. It's like
Okay.
a few seconds.
Yep.
Yes, there is a contract that you sign before the inspector starts his inspection. You have to sign off on it. But there is a contract inside, and they even for people that could not speak English, there was a translator that I would speak into it, and they would speak to them in Spanish or translate it in writing. And they have to sign this contract for the inspector to even start the inspection. If you take that money and don't pay it back, they can seize your property at any point after a year.
That's crazy. Well, thanks for the heads up. So folks, heed his message here. If there's anything they got to sign or contract before you receive any assistance, make sure that.
If anybody comes across that exact form, I would love to see it.
I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
But as of now, I have no idea. This one here was about Into Thin Air, man. He puts out some pretty good stuff. Some of the
That's a NOAA library.
Yeah, he pulled this from their website. Wish you could blow it up more, but it really can't.
Use control and the mouse wheel if you have a mouse, and that will make the screen bigger.
Yeah, there we go.
It may not work if it's in like X.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Weather modification. Let's see, weather modification project reports. Companies that intend to engage in weather modification activities within the U.S. are required by Weather Modification Act of '76. Provide a report to the administration 10 days prior to undertaking the activity. These reports are filled with weather program offices and may be found on the NOAA library. Interesting. Activities subject to reporting.
NOAA's got a huge part in this too.
Seeding, dispersing any substance in the clouds or fog, fires or heat, solar radiation exchange, modifying characteristics of lands, releasing electrically charged or radioactive particles or ions into the atmosphere. Wow. That's crazy.
Just so I know.
Let's see.
I have to drive back from Abu Dhabi to Dubai.
This is something he
It's not
shared.
raining. It's a sunny day.
You were talking
The
about
UAE government invested more than $20 million in research to start a process called cloud seeding. The UAE performs around 1,000 hours of cloud seeding a year, and it's all controlled by this building in the National Center of Meteorology in Abu Dhabi, where they track the whole process. We met with a cloud seeding expert to explain how the seeding process works.
We wait the forecast. When we have good, chance for cloud, we send the aircraft to that location. Go under the cloud. In the first stage of the cloud, there is good updraft at that time. Start to release all the salt, and with the good updraft, of course, it will go inside the cloud. The droplets will become bigger and start to rain.
The center manufactures a salt substance that helps enhance rainfall. They put them in what they call flares. Just so I know.
How about that?
I mean, that's like picture graphic evidence right there.
Right.
Yep. You can't deny that.
Right.
As bad as I want to, it's hard for me to deny it.
Yeah.
What is this agreement between Canada and the United States related to the exchange of information on weather modification activities?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is like the 5 eyes, the 7 eyes, the 12 eyes, for the people that don't know what that is. There's the 5 eyes are 5 countries that share intelligence information. And then there's the 7 eyes, which are 2 more countries that are not part of the 5 eyes. I'm trying to think how that works. So like it gets bigger and bigger. Like the 5 eyes are not part of the 2 other countries in the 2 eyes or the 7 eyes. So there's 2 other countries but they're part of all the lower ones. So it's like the same thing. They just share information with each other.
Jeez. Well, let's see.
And if anyone's who's watching this is still like, oh, there's no such thing as, weather modification, please really think about what you're being shown here. And like we've been saying, do your own research, because from everything that we've seen, it is real. And, I think a lot of people just don't want to admit it. They just want to stay in denial. But we really need for people to have an open mind.
I don't want to admit it to myself, but like, how do you, and like, I'm not trying to convince nobody here but myself. I'm just sharing with you what I'm finding to convince myself. Here it is too, but like 2005 weather modification and S517, the weather modification research technology transfer authorization of 05. For decades, the federal government has dedicated significant resources to weather modification research. State and local governments continue to spend millions in both operational weather modification technologies and weather modification research. So it's not like a new thing, clearly.
What is that? Let's see here. I'm trying to think.
Oh, these are comments. Oh, this right here is concerning. Watch this real quick. It's nine.
To try to undermine the opposition.
Was this the one where he didn't know what hurricane happened?
No, watch.
No.
I think those who have been spreading these lies to try to undermine the opposition are going to pay a price for it.
So if you're undermining the ops, you're going to pay a price. If you're posting false information about these storms, you're going to pay a price. Has a president ever threatened the citizens, the American people, in this fashion? People are trying to figure shit out. And you're going to threaten them? Like, what's he going to do?
Roll that Bill for Bean footage.
I mean, it's crazy.
I think those who have been spreading these lies to try to undermine the opposition are going to pay a price for it. I think those who have been spreading these lies to try to
We're just 9 seconds.
Wow.
But actually, it was posted from Trump War Room originally, and then they shared it. Oh, here we go. And now they're trying to bring this governance board back that was caught with their censorship machine and dismantled.
It's in DHS.
How long is it? It's 24 seconds. Okay.
Not have to be doing it. They are first responders. They're meant to be dealing with emergency assistance. They've had to become disinformation experts. And there was meant to be a bureau within DHS focusing on this that I was meant to lead.
I was about to say, this is why Nina should have a job, okay? Nina should be employed today in the federal government.
I'd be happy to work for her.
Not have to be doing it. They are first responders. They're meant to be dealing with emergency assistance.
Yeah.
Jack Posobiec is the one who started it was putting out the information on her BS, and it stopped it all. I'm not going to play this one here. It's a little long, but Wall Street Apes is who posted it. Let's see, the companies doing, he's talking about the companies doing the home inspections. FEMA website owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. I'm sure State Street's in there with them, but about mining lithium in North Carolina. This is that clip you played a second ago.
Let me, if you want, let me
kick it back to you.
Yeah, let me take over real quick because I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna kind of jump around here. I got a video that this one right here.
And I saw 2 Air Force helicopter 60s, and I knew they were PJs just looking at them.
So
I went up
this is Jonathan Howard again. He's talking about where he went to the PJs and they were waiting for Title 10 orders. But I'm actually going to jump to this part. This is a video that we were trying to show earlier.
Already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So
he looks like a they.
Add disaster on top of that.
He's not carrying no woman out of a fucking disaster scene.
It's just compounding on itself.
You know, the shift that we're seeing right now is a shift in emergency management from utilitarian principles where everything is designed for the greatest.
Yep.
What he was saying is these people have so much going on in their life already. They should be put at priority. Now show me somebody who doesn't already have shit going on in their life already. Everybody has their own problems, whether if it has something to do with how they identify or not.
Right.
But go ahead.
It's good for the greatest amount of people to disaster equity.
We, the people, point out that they are us, and they complain that it's hurtful.
What kind of impact
has this had on the recovery effort?
It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there, but it's also demoralizing.
Right after the government says they don't have enough money for the American people stricken by the floods and that another storm is coming, they announce another $157 million to the people of Lebanon.
The federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
And many are now saying that this is exactly.
Again, this is going back to where she just had a, she just basically shared a post to Twitter or X that she sent $157 million to Lebanon. But this was like the same day. Same day as a hurricane, which boggles my mind that it was like the American people are dying in droves in North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee, West North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. And you're going to sit here and say, Lebanon people, I mean, it's.
And I'm all for helping people, but let's make sure we're helped first.
Absolutely. America first.
Yep.
And I don't see a problem with that. Like,
right.
Every other country does the same. We don't get money from foreign countries.
How many foreign countries have sent America money for North Carolina?
Right. Now, if there are some, I will retract that
I'd love
statement
to know
and I
about
will
it.
thank them. But
Yeah.
until then, we're sending money, foreign aid to, Israel, Lebanon, Ukraine, Iran. God, we're sending money to Iran.
Decades, we were called conspiracy theorists. But in 2016, while serving as director of the CIA, John Brennan admitted that chemtrails are real at the Council on Foreign Relations.
Another example is
CFR, another government Illuminati organization.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah,
Money
secret,
laundering. Council.
secret organization.
array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or
Now,
SAI.
That's the thing. If you look up weather modification, you're not going to see a lot of things. If you look up stratospheric aerosol injection, you will actually pull up more information because that's what you have to look for. So part of doing the research is knowing what to search for. It's not Googling terms that we would use
Broad
like in every
terms.
day, because that's what the articles are going to pull up as this is bullshit. You have to use the actual terms the government uses to pull up the information of what you're looking for, right?
Seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels.
Oh, here's Smart Dust is great.
AI enormous amounts of data. As Bill Gates said,
Here's Smart Dust.
she also points out the important fact that the elastomers being fabricated by DuPont for this soft robot technology are made of the exact same chemicals found when analyzing the messagens, a compound that
What they put in the air about 500 times more with the same
There's
tanker.
Dane Wigington.
In
Courtney.
regard to the condensation trail narrative, many refer back to the trails left by World War II bombers as proof that we are only seeing condensation trails in our skies. But geoengineeringwatch.org found on military archives film footage, which we posted, of World War II B-17s at altitude turning off a sprayed dispersion. We know that climate engineering was deployed immediately after World War II, so testing was absolutely ongoing. Clearly, these bombers were used for beta testing. Film footage proves it.
Weather was a weapon used over Vietnam.
Operation Popeye.
Would you expect that to be then deleted from the availability? No. To continue to expand the scientific aspects of it, to have it available in your portfolio of weapons would be.
So again, yeah, they use it as weapons. I mean, this is what our skies look like now. And just to show you,
I mean, I used to crack jokes at people who used to talk about this stuff.
Right. And I get it, because.
And sometimes I still do, although I acknowledge what they're saying is could actually be fact.
I mean, this is what my day looked like October 3rd, which was last Thursday, going into work. These are not, this matches up very close to this right here, right? Like this looks very similar. This is more crisscross pattern, but
So what do you think this is for? Some sort of control, or to help bring in more rain they may need, or
so I think, and if you want my opinion, is that they do this to block out the sun, because we've destroyed our ozone layers with aerosols and all kinds of things. So we, like humans, have destroyed the ozone layer, and we have the geomagnetic storms that are coming in.
Two this year. We've had 2 this year, which is crazy.
More than 2. We've had
maybe,
3 in
but
the last
the skies
2.
have been like pink and those fancy colors.
Yeah,
I mean
the Northern Lights. We've had 3 in the last 2 weeks. We had an X7.3 and a 9.1, and then the last one we just had a couple days ago. I mean, again, back to the whole FEMA and the disaster. So we never actually covered. We're almost 2 hours in, and we've never actually covered talking about how FEMA was actually stopping rescue efforts, and they were actually not. They were getting in the way of organizations volunteering and like delivering aid, because
this is that rudder shift ordeal, isn't it? Are you
that
about
was
to play
the rotor wash. Yeah.
A black FEMA helicopter intentionally hovering low over a volunteer collection site in western North Carolina and disrupting the work being done there. Individuals on the ground claim it was in retaliation for volunteers not allowing FEMA to confiscate their supplies. Here again, another video, you can see an unmarked black helicopter doing what's called a rotor wash, destroying supplies and disrupting distribution, this time in Burnsville, North Carolina. It's been caught on video twice.
Yeah,
So why
it happened twice, 2 different helicopters.
With
2
behavior
different
like
helicopters, 2
this,
different cities.
between disrupting supply sites, refusing to drive around road closed signs, and threatening volunteers for trying to help, FEMA seems to be creating more harm than actual help.
Right. So that's something that we haven't really talked about. I mean, we've covered weather modification and stuff, but this is what's actually happening in North Carolina.
I seen where North Carolina National Guard was trying to take fault for those 2 helicopter ordeals, or at least one of them. They were like, "Oh, we're going to handle it and do an investigation." But a lot of people think they're just trying to cover their ass.
There was one that I saw, what we were talking about,
because they went off radar to do it.
Yeah, where they asked, and they went off. They turned the transponder off, and they, I think it was, it's one of these tabs up here. I got a million tabs, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one right here. It was this helicopter that went off radar. So there's a lot of links for, somebody had posted a link. There was also a Chinook that did it too. I watched a video of a Chinook doing that. A Chinook is a double, for people that don't know, it's a double, most everybody that's watching my channel should know though. It's a double rotor, longer aircraft that you can transport vehicles and troops in. Not like tanks, but you can do like Humvees and stuff. So this is one of them, and I think this was the video right here. So this guy knows he can't land. He's over a parking lot with tents and supplies. He knows he can't land there. Any veteran pilot is gonna know better, and then what? He goes down and flies off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you're gonna sit here and tell me that wasn't intentional? This was fucking intentional, and this is American. It's a military aggression on American people. This is an act of war against the American people. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. This is attacking a donation.
I don't want to believe
site.
it, but there it is.
You know, I don't want to either. And the problem is I have friends that are police officers, former police officers, military, former military. I support them. I love them. I would do anything to help and protect them, just like they would do for us. And the problem is that they've been indoctrinated to believe that this can never happen, that the government is wholesome. And I had a conversation with one of my buddies, and I said, look, there's, and he's a Marine, and he's not active duty, but he's a Marine. And I said, there's parts of the government that you are not involved in that are not wholesome like you. Like, they might have taken an oath, but now they're taking an oath to money or to power.
Blood oath.
And it's terrible. So, there's an example. This guy was trying to get stuff into...
I'm a truck driver, all right?
He put a video
up. I have a 53-foot step deck.
And he shows
I've been trucking for about 2.5 years.
Going into
I have a YouTube channel. You can verify that on Babyline Hotshot. Usually in a disaster situation, it is payday for truckers. We look for that hurricane. We look for that ice storm. There's generators coming to you. There's stuff coming out of military bases. There's excavators, skid steers, bulldozers, tree trimming
all the
equipment.
Things they need
pumps,
after a disaster,
like water pumps to pump water out of places that have been flooded. There's no loads on the load board coming to you within 125 miles of Asheville. It's called Truck Stop. This is where I find all my loads. Chicago, Illinois, up at the top. Within 250 miles of Chicago is where I'm going to pick up. The second is the destination.
Right,
so it goes origin, destination. Watch. See? Drop-off location. Let's do city.
So this is important to get this
North
information out.
Carolina.
This is a person who is
Click
on
it.
the ground,
Boom.
who does this,
All
knows
right.
what he's talking about.
These are all $1.40 a mile loads, $1.39. That was posted yesterday. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing. These are loads that you wouldn't even, nobody's taking them. They're just on the load board. They've been on there since yesterday. You can see, right? Let's type in a different city. That's from Chicago. Maybe Tennessee, maybe Nashville is closer, and they'd send resources from Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee, within 250 miles of Nashville, to Asheville, North Carolina, within 125 miles. Let's see, that's it. That's all the loads. That's all the loads that are 28,000 pounds and less. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
none of us are.
I mean, what the hell's going on here? I had brokers call me and tell me, Stu, have you seen any loads going to Asheville or like anywhere around the Carolinas, South Carolina, Georgia? Is there any like FEMA loads? There's none. Zero. He's been a broker for 6 years. And he's talking to other brokers. They're saying the same thing. What's going on, guys?
So this guy, obviously I'm not one to like get my news from TikTok, but in an information age where information sharing is so prevalent, that's oftentimes the best way that we can get information out, because we know mainstream media is owned by 5 companies or whatever it is, right? Like there's 5 companies that own all the media. And, so we know that we're not going to get information because they're paid to put out the propaganda by whatever the White House wants or whatever the government wants or whatever, right? So we're not going to get factual information and the truth from any of this, right? That's why it's called television, because you're telling a vision of what you want the person to believe or see or think, right? So that's why sometimes getting your news from TikTok is it's the best way to get the important information without being
or at least
filtered.
get enough information to be able to discern on your own opinion.
Exactly. Here's the post right here that I was looking for. This is I went to Kamala Harris. I didn't want to go to it, but I did. I went to her. Too. Yep. And at the time this was 10/5. The hurricane was still going on and the recovery efforts had just started. And she set $157 million because for an additional assistance to the people of Lebanon for essential needs such as food, shelter, water, protection, and sanitation. What about the fucking American people? What about the people in Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina that have no house? Their house washed away with 4 other houses. One bridge hits and then goes downriver and hits another bridge. And now at the end, there's 4 bridges and 5 houses. Their cars are gone. Their pets are gone. Their family members are gone.
Their local gas stations are gone. Their local
Stores
pharmacies
are
are gone.
I mean, you've seen the before and after photos of where there's a neighborhood strip or a street where there's like restaurants and all this stuff on the side. And then like the after is it's nothing. It's nothing. They wiped them off. And when I say they, I'm going back and I'm saying my opinion is the government who's controlling the tornado, the hurricanes and the tornadoes. Because again, I proved to you with a patent how they used it on Hurricane Irma and previous hurricanes that they controlled this. Because again, if you destroy the property, if you devalue it, the government comes in and buys it and they go, well, we can't build here anymore. It's no longer regulated for building. You can't house people here. So guess what? What are you going to do? This is exactly where the mine sits. And we go back to the Kings Mountain mine, the lithium mine. So, like Courtney said, we're putting the dots together. We're making the connection. And, we may not be hitting the nail on the head for every time. But what we are trying to do is we're basically saying, like, come on, people, wake up. Like, it's right in front of your face. And you're still like, I'm with her. Well,
I mean, it's right in front of our face that they care about every other country except for ours. If they really cared about us, not only would they help everyone in the disaster areas, but what about our homeless veterans, and just all the other people in our country who really need help? They're not getting it, but other countries are.
It's like Newsom, and they lost how many $1 billion on trying to combat homelessness? They didn't lose it. They know exactly where it went.
Here's an example. This is Grindstone Ministries video, and they posted, and the description says, our team making their way up Little Germany on foot to the destroyed road up a mountain with Starlink to get this cut off community connected back to the world. This was after the disaster that happened. They're climbing over a mountain because they're bypassing FEMA roadblocks because FEMA's not allowing them in.
That's insane.
I mean, here's a comment. This is our home in East Tennessee, a little place called Little Germany. I mean, this is stuff that, like, this is unbelievable. This is what they're doing to get communities. This is the American people right here. That's the American people. That's what they do for each other.
In a perfect world, this would be like National Guard or some sort of military coming in because FEMA's not blocking nobody, doing everything that needs to be done. But it's just the citizens who live there who are doing it all and people who have came in to help.
Right. And this is Michio Akaku. He talks about
into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing kilowatt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions. And these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
She had to say that. She had to say that because she's owned by the fucking CIA.
Now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using.
Why would we be cloud seeding, right? Why are we doing that? Droughts, obviously, but we have more areas that are more droughts. I mean,
yeah, I could think of tons of reasons that would be a good reason to use weather modification.
Sahara desert flooded. recently, right here. 2 days ago, flooding in the Sahara Desert fills lake that had been dry for 50 years.
I've never heard of it. I ain't heard of this yet.
2 days ago, it just happened.
That's insane.
Look at this.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of good that could be done with this, but it seems
This is
like
on MSN, Fire Post, NDTV, The Guardian, New York Post. I mean, this is Sahara Desert right here.
Wow.
Yeah, for anybody to look at this and be like, well,
That's natural?
maybe that'll happen. No, it's not natural. Not at all.
Right. Right. This is drone footage in the Sahara Desert. I mean, incredible. Incredible.
Jeez.
2 days of rainfall in September exceeded yearly averages in several areas of southeast Morocco and caused a deluge, officials of the country's meteorology agency said in October. They accumulated 3.9 inches was recorded in a 24-hour period. And again, it's more than what they've had for 50 years. It's been 30 to 50 years since we've had this much rain in such a short space of time. This also, I'm not gonna jump into the deepness of this, but this is also corresponding with the pole shift. So write that down because the pole shift is happening right now. That's why we're seeing this stuff. But yeah, this goes into, I'm not going to finish that video, but this is October 7th, right? This is this woman, thank God, she's doing stuff like
Florida
this.
whose cars wouldn't start. This lady wrote to me
jamming
and said it's happened before, and that
Florida.
even her oven wouldn't work after a storm. And I've seen people saying that they can't even get their paychecks. Additionally, this is the GPS jamming map. Not surprisingly, you can see GPS jamming where there's wars happening. But why was this part of the US having GPS jamming? Try to overlay a map. It was kind of tricky, but there's the area. If this means something to anybody, let me know. And there's the dates that the GPS jamming was happening, which has been during Hurricane Helene. I also put up a video about a very unusual plane patterning that was happening prior to Hurricane Helene. And just the
so
very
just to pause this, I'm going to bring this tab over here. So this is a GPS jamming map that she's talking about. So the green is very low GPS interference. This is on today. If we go back to, what day was it? So again, I'm trying to disprove what she's saying, and this may not even be the thing that she is using. What day was the hurricane?
The 26th.
26th. Be down here in just a minute.
So, I'm not seeing anything for what she's talking about. This could be a different GPS jamming map than what she's referring to. Flight radar has one. Oh, yeah, this actually looks more like it right here. This is what looks like what she was showing. So we can only go back to the 5th. Pro version. Yeah, I don't have pro version. But obviously you can see GPS jamming in war areas. But yeah, I mean, so what she's referring to is real. The map is real. It does exist. You can find what she's talking about. So again, this is all going back to don't just watch the video and believe it, but pull it up for yourself and see what she's talking about. See what they're talking about.
very creepy area that it happened to be.
That was a weird path. This was something similar to. That was weird. I don't know why I was doing that, but essentially this is like NOAA flight. To me, if you want to be honest, I'm not going to jump into conspiracy here. I think that this actually does look like they're just kind of getting weather data on it, barometric pressure and all that stuff for the meteorologists. It is a NOAA flight. But, this seems to be the path that it literally took. It flew this way and it came straight to Florida. It actually came like through here and went this way. So again, it's like someone was directing the hurricane on where to go, which is, I showed proof of this. So it's not like this is like stuff where it's, made up.
We just don't know if that exact flight is doing exactly what you pulled up. Is what you're
saying. Exactly. So this is a woman who she wants us to speak up for her.
To the end. Do not pass judgment. Listen to every single word that I say. My name is Cassandra. I live in a little town called Spruce Pine, North Carolina, that was directly affected by Hurricane Helene. Anybody in their right mind thinking that outside people should not be speaking on what the government has done or is not doing to our area is insanity to me. As someone who is here at ground zero in Mitchell County, North Carolina,
So Southern, I love it.
It is going to take you as the creators on this app to speak up to get us help here. Because I will tell you, our government is not doing a damn thing for us.
Yeah.
They are not doing anything. I have had 3 tractor and trailers from Florida denied entry. I have had 2 trucks of supplies coming from West Virginia denied entry. Now you tell me that people don't have the right to speak on our area? You're wrong. They do. We need people on this app to speak up and do something and help us. And I say us, I am blessed. God, am I blessed. My power came back on last night. I've got a little bit of cell phone service. I'm at Walmart. I don't have water. It'll probably be much, but you know what? I am blessed. I am blessed.
She's humble.
My house is intact. There is people that have died, that are gone. There is families that don't know where their loved ones are. There is
That's heartbreaking.
children that have died. So anytime you want to cancel someone for speaking about what our government is not doing in the Appalachian Mountains, you think about that. You think about these babies and these loved ones that will never see their person again.
Obviously, that pulls at your.
That was sad.
It was sad, but that's the reality of the situation. Right? Like, I mean, we're not fear mongering. We're not talking about, doing violent things to the government or the people, or the soldiers. We're talking about the reality of the American people here. And again, all these people are asking to get the word out, and that's what we're doing. That's why we're spending 2 hours on a Saturday to pull up all these things and talk about what's happening and what can be done. Spread the word. I know personally that I will say that I get discouraged. I see people like Sean Ryan who are pulling in hundreds of thousands of views, and I'm like, why am I going to do this? 50 people might even watch my podcast, maybe. Why am I going to do it? Who's going to see it? The truth is, you don't know who's going to see it. And you can't get discouraged, right? Because the more people that share information like this, they're asking us to. They're not asking once, but they're not asking Sean Ryan to do it. They're not asking Benny Johnson to do it. They're asking everybody to do it. And so if I can't go and be boots on the ground, if I can't pick up boxes and deliver them to families, if I can't go in a helicopter and drop down and rescue people or do search and rescue or whatever, if I can't do that, I have a platform where I can do this. I can go live. I can bring people in. I can share videos. We can do stuff like this, like what we're doing. And that is impactful. Because it's going to live out there. Once you put it on the internet, it's out there. It lives out there.
Sure enough. Very true.
This is the This is the photo
like
op.
aircraft commanders, like squadron commanders.
The photo op, which I obviously already showed this. This was the actual picture from staging the photo op in front of the Hurricane A without actually sending the supplies. It just baffles my mind that they would do this. Like,
it's crazy. I'm not shocked.
I'm not shocked either.
Desensitized to being shocked to stuff like this now, but yeah, I'm shocked.
I mean, this is like this right here. This is the one part where I said I'm not religious, but I had somebody share this on Facebook and I read it and I was like, holy fuck, this is what's happening. I mean, this is Luke 21:25 of the King James Version. And there shall be signs in the sun. We got solar flares. And in the moon, we got 2 fucking moons now for 28 days. And in the stars, I mean, obviously we got aliens coming from the stars, whatever you want to call it there. And upon the earth, distress of nations. We got wars. We got 3 wars, 2 wars, right? We got Russia, Ukraine, Iraq, Iran. Basically, the Middle East is a giant war, right? So we have that. And then we have with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So this is everything that's happening right now. The fires in Wyoming, you know, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the war, you know, the solar flares. I mean, it's, you name it, it's happening. It's just scary. This was 4 days ago. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and there's probably stuff that isn't even in national news that like we don't know about. It's just, it's kind of swept under the rug.
Right.
So this is just the stuff that we know.
Exactly.
I'm gonna bring up something real quick. What you just shared. Matthew 24:6. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. But on a side note, like, don't fear. You know what I'm saying? People get into fearing and stuff, but nations will rise against nations, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And unfortunately, it's coming to fruition. You know, it's not something that we wanted, but everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in its own time. And, you know, I mean, that's, you can't live in fear. I'm not trying to fear monger.
No, I'm not one to believe this is some sort of end time, like the world's fixing to end. I don't believe that.
It probably
is going for hundreds and hundreds of years, but
shit, that's not sharing with audio. Let me redo that. All right, so this is actually, I was actually surprised. So Kayleigh McEnany was actually sharing from Fox News. She was actually talking about Kamala's not doing shit, essentially.
In the White House,
I was
we
really
found
impressed.
out that President
So
Biden,
I know we were talking about mainstream
with
media was
Israel's
not
President Isaac
covering this at
Herzog
all.
in a call Monday, reaffirming our
really
commitment
interesting.
to achieving a deal in Gaza to bring those hostages. It's intensifying quickly, and it could hit at catastrophic levels. This new storm is headed to the U.S. just days after Hurricane Helene ravaged the Southeast. The suffering and destruction is astounding. Over 230 people are dead, many still missing, and desperate Americans are still without key supplies. Many residents of the hardest hit areas say they feel totally abandoned, claiming that they're being forced to fend for themselves because assistance from FEMA and the Biden-Harris administration is not able to reach them. With the federal government nowhere in sight, distressed residents have been relying on neighbors, on private organizations for help. One Helene victim telling the New York Post that FEMA said they were not coming because of a, quote, road closed sign. Struggling and devastated Americans are asking, when will someone step in?
I think that our government can do more. Because we're going to need the help. There's roads gone.
There's so much more that could be done, and giving us $750 if you can even apply for it is ridiculous.
Where is the help for Western North Carolina? We can send billions to Ukraine, and we can't help Western North Carolina.
The response time right now is extremely slow, if at all, in some areas. I know haven't really been touched except by the locals.
President Biden is here today. Do you have a message for him?
Yeah, whoopee-doo, and where are you at when everything else happens?
Good questions. And now members of the Republican Party are expressing their outrage to the White House's storm response.
When you talk to the people who are directly affected, they will tell you that this has been an abject failure. FEMA has lost sight of its core mission. The Federal Emergency Management Association, their mission is to help people in times like this of natural disaster, not to be engaged in using any pool of funding from any.
Yeah, so
during this sensitive period. It's not just the delay in getting down there. It's that something like that come out during.
U.S. will provide nearly $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon. How about the people of Asheville?
It's just amazing to see something like that come out during this sensitive period. It's not just the delay in getting down there. It's that what they've been offering people is a few $100 to help with rebuilding. We're still in the rescue and recovery operations right now. And the lack of attention from the federal government is appalling, particularly when they're spending so much money overseas, hard-earned taxpayer money to fight wars overseas or to help out the people of Lebanon, and just leave these people in the dust.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this is a fact. Unfortunately, this is a fact. You know, it's all over.
Yeah. Get you some redneck friends, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely get a redneck friend. This was the one from the sheriff. He
But I don't like to curse. I'm scared there'll be little ears listening.
Well, and you've been up here. You've been up here for how long?
Just 2 days.
2 days.
The sheriff hadn't left, and he's doing a fantastic job. So.
That's right. I mean, Sheriff, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for all you do. I'm going to definitely get this up on social media. And we're going live tonight with Sean Handy. But if you had a message for the White House and how they've handled the situation up here in North Carolina, what would your message be, Sheriff Wright?
If you're going to do the things you've been talking about doing, we just assume you stay out of the way and let the good men and women around the mountain area and the foothills take care of our own, because you're nothing more than a boat anchor.
No help.
That's
FEMA
his message
hasn't been
to Biden.
Oh, wait a minute. That lady that's running for president talks about the $750. Huh. What about all that money you give to Ukraine and all these other people that really want to kill us, don't want to do anything to help us? Why don't you just give that money to them? That's who you want to give.
I want to be a sheriff deputy for him.
And a lot of people have been turned down for the $750. Almost everybody I've spoken to hasn't received any of the funding, and they've been turned down for personal items.
Well, they talked about get on your phone or your computer. Do you not see what the devastation is? They don't have a phone or a computer.
There's nothing up here. There's no communication. I'm going to be posting this later. There's no way to access the internet unless you have a Starlink net. And everybody's.
Thank you, Elon Musk, by the way.
Oh,
thank you, Elon
yes,
Musk.
thank you, Elon Musk.
President Donald Trump, we need you.
What are the yes?
I think he gave $25 million of his own money.
Was that
saying something about Trump gave $25 million of his own money?
Oh, I can pull that up
to them. Let's see if you can find something on it.
Let's see here. Taylor Swift donated $5 right here. So this is Snopes. Snopes says that he didn't donate anything. The Tennessean Aldine, Trump announced donations to Hurricane Helene. This is from the Tennessean.
Let's see.
Aldine, Macon, Georgia, revealed that $7 million was raised. A week-long GoFundMe page launched by former President Trump.
Yeah, I don't think this was GoFundMe. Let me see.
I'm looking to see if there's anything else that was. So Aldine's support matched by Morgan Wallen. So 500,000 donation was matched by Morgan Wallen. So there's $1 million right there.
Yeah, and I think Dolly Parton donated $1 million.
She's still alive?
Yeah, I heard that.
Let's see here. This is a Facebook thing.
Yeah.
Keith Urban, Ivanka Trump, and more. Okay. Taylor Swift don't care. So, regardless, oh, here's YouTube. Some powered by rainbows. Trump is stealing $7 million from Hurricane. I would expect somebody from Rainbows to say that.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy what's happening. I don't think I have anything else to share.
Yeah, I don't either. Not right now on this topic.
I mean,
yeah, I'm done too.
Yeah, God knows I can get into a lot of things,
barking.
But so I think that's it. I think we're gonna call it here. It's been a good 2.5 hours. It was longer than I anticipated. I thought it would be at least an hour, but there's been so much good information, so many new things learned. I actually even learned just by reading the patent information about the hurricane stuff, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I seen the patent about it and
never read it.
I think people talk about it, but yeah.
Right. So
never read it.
So here's where we are. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching, and maybe we'll do something again. We'll have to see what time permits. I know everybody's got a busy schedule. So JP, thank you so much for jumping in and
yes, sir.
I love the commentary. I appreciate all your research that you do. I share your stuff, and
yes,
Courtney,
sir.
thank you so much. I know you took a lot of time to research all these things, pull up and organize it in orders, for how you want to present. So next time that you have internet, maybe we can do something again, because I feel like that was all, everything was great. So I just want to thank both you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Yes, sir.
You took time out of your
Thank
day,
you for
your
doing
weekend.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we're here for, so.
Yep.
Until next time, we'll see you.
Exactly.
Later,
Until next time.